Hello there, Sugar Plum. Look at you over there sitting by yourself wanting to see what would the world look like if PulseX and HEX does a 100x. We are uncovering more information. I'm going to go through with you another way of talking about market cap, which is a very naughty word in the Richard Hart ecosystem. You can replace the word market cap with liquidity. You can get a rough approximation. It's not exact, but you can get a nice ratio. What's the ratio? Whatever your market cap number is, get 3% of that. That's about your liquidity. So if you say to me, well, I think my coin will have a $100 billion market cap. All right. That means roughly the total liquidity across all the exchanges and everything together would be about 1.5 to 3% of that. So if you want 100 billion to sustain, right, not go there and drop minus 99%, to sustain and move around there for quite some time, you're going to need 1.5 billion in liquidity on the bid side, which is quite a lot. Now, you might be interested to know, HEX was able to do it with smaller numbers. Yes, it was. But it was such a fierce move up and all the money was locked, you see. So that was what the difference was, because I want to quickly show you in the bull market. You might say, hey, okay, so just to give you some numbers, right? So it was about $100 million of liquidity up the top. 100 million. But we know a lot of money was sacrificed for PulseChain and PulseX. It was taken off the market, a lot of it, coupled with a lot of the stakes that were still not released. So the circulating supply, the circulating market cap was much smaller than we think. Now, if you go through for every coin, there's no real edge to real get from it. I mean, it is what it is, right? Things grow to their sizes and then collapse. This is what happens in crypto all the time. But when we look at this number, if you just get the circulating coins, you go, okay, there were about 90 billion coins times 50 cents, and you might get $45 billion of market cap. That's what the rough number would be. Someone who said that, okay? But that's not the real number. I'm going to put X here. X marks a spot. That's not the real one. But you just want to see, okay, how do we get up to here with only 100 million bid liquidity, USDC, around there? Well, now you see why, right? We had heaps put in PulseChain and you had the stake lockups. So, put them together explains how we got here, because you can go so much further than you think, but you are not really doing anything except delaying the inevitable dump. So you can try to play God in the short term, but unfortunately, this is what we've seen from markets. So you've now seen this experiment play out. That's why crypto's risky, friends. They're trying things all the time. So when you see this, right, you now know, all right, if there's ever a project who thinks they can keep delaying the supply unlock, doesn't matter. It will eventually come out. The market will go to where it wants to go. And this is, valuable information, because you know that even if someone tries to jam, which is what it was, if someone tries to jam up highest prices and create a new floor, it's not enough. You can't cheat. It eventually, smack, comes back down and you wipe it all. That's what happened, man. Look at this chart. You don't get this chart unless, you did something wrong here. This was it. The market basically said, you shouldn't have even done this. It basically said that, not all of the move, but maybe after 5 cents, it just there was a final 10x that was just insane, it was just very unsustainable. Right now, many coins went through the same thing too. So that is critical to know. So as we move in, what would happen if PulseX and HEX, if they did 100x from today, it's about 300 to 350 billion valuation. Ethereum today is 220 billion. Okay, so if they all did that, that's what you get. Now, of course, the liquidity is not going to be the exact same, but let's continue. If we are going to see this scenario play out, so if you believe that we're going to do 100x, you're going to have to see some things happen first. You got to watch for these. All right, and it's going to, as these things happen, it's not going to be on the floor. It's going to be moving up already. All right, now, what are you going to see? You're going to see the total PulseChain Bridge needs, right? Not like would enjoy, but needs $400 million moving in consistently per month. You need to see $400 million clips every month. Bang, bang, bang. Now, of course, they're all going to come staggered towards the end. This isn't even the full liquidity, friends, because you got to remember, there are going to be people dumping. So they take out the liquidity too. All right. Now, what's the total bridge done so far? Well, it's done $96 million since the start in 6 months. Okay. So, if you want to do an average, you shouldn't do these numbers average, but it's just curious. Okay. What's the average per month? It's around 16 million per month. Yeah. So you want to get that up? You need a lot of money coming in. You need a lot. There's a lot of things to think about, right? Like, there's a lot of things that you got to remember. The requirement of this money to be put in, we don't just talk about it to say, oh, it's high or it's not. It doesn't matter, man. A bull market happens, things can happen. I'm just telling you, before prices appear up, there are things that show themselves. There's fundamentals in the news. There's users starting to go up and trend up. And what rate of users is coming in, right? That's the most important part. And for any other coin to do this, now, you're going to need, for a 300 billion valuation, you can not use this word valuation or market cap. If you say, oh, valuations don't matter, okay, we need to delete that. We need 4.5 billion in liquidity. That's what we need, right? So this number, whether you think, oh, no, we can teleport up, no, you need this liquidity, no matter what. This is like non-negotiable. If you want to be super thin on the liquidity, all right, divide this by 3. Yeah, so instead of 4.5 billion, let's say you found a way to do another sacrifice and a lot of people come in, but they all do long-term stakes from the circulating supply. They all do 15-year stakes or 10-year stakes or 5-year stakes. All right, we can drag it down to 1.5 billion. I'm being very generous, by the way, very generous. This is, being super, super optimistic on this one. 1.5 billion to be sitting in all the liquidity pools there. So if that's how much you need, people want to know, okay, what did we hit before? Well, today, there is about 45 million in liquidity. So you can go through Dex Screener, you can have a look at all the numbers, you can go through on PulseChain, and you can go through on PulseX as well. So PulseChain's total volume for the past 24 hours, $15 million of volume. You can add up, your PulseX, HEX, everything with the Pulse, right? What you can do is do that. Now, I've got to tell you something, right? This isn't liquidity adding the offer. This is the bid only. You see? If you go back, I've only added the money you can take out, the bids, because that's actually what's the whole price. It doesn't matter how much is on the offer. So when we go back and we look at, say, the liquidity of, let's say, the requirement, if something needs to be 300 billion, for example, when Ethereum's 300 billion, it actually has 9 billion of liquidity, 9B. But that's 4.5 billion on the bids, 4.5 on the offer. Obviously, this is 50-50. Don't worry about the semantics. We're not going to split the atom or split the hair. But you just know it's not actually $9 billion of real dollars because you can't extract that Ethereum on the offer side, okay? It's 4.5 billion. That's what the whole market is. The whole market is basically where the bid is. Who's willing to buy? If there's no buyers, it's over. All right? It's with everything out there. Okay, so we have $45 million today. What did we have at the peak? As I just explained to you, we had about $100 million of USDC at the peak. Okay, so that was the tippity top. It was momentary. It was 50 million, 100 million, 150 million. It's about $100 million sitting in there. So effectively, that's what you could say. So that's a big number, right? So that's why looking at that market cap, 60 billion market cap, a lot of it was delayed. Because if you go and do the numbers, you go, wait a minute, you had at the top 100 million market cap, but you had 45 billion of the that's what 45 billion was at the top, and you had 100 million of the bid, sorry. So what I've done is I've calculated the percentage of the liquidity compared to the whole market cap, and it was only 0.2%. That shows you know how normally it's like 1.5 to 3%, around 1.5%, friends. The fact that it was only 0.2% in HEX, it shows you has very thin liquidity, doesn't it? Very thin, so it can move more. But you also had a leverage factor on that because a lot of people were locked up. They staked their HEX. There's heaps of HEX stakes that they had not got their HEX released yet from 2021. And you had a lot thrown in for PulseChain. That's another as well. So they were big like deflationary absorptions, if you think about that. All right. Now, see, that's a lot. That's a lot of difference. But you might say to me, okay, can we do this percentage? And, can we do this percentage? And if we want to get to 300 billion, how much liquidity are we going to do? 300,000 million billion. You're like, oh, okay. We don't need 1.5 to 4.5 billion in the USDC bid. We only need 660 million. That's what the number is. So that's what I've calculated. Okay, if we did the same, we only need 660 million. And guess what? That's only 6x above the last one. We can do that. Well, you can say that, but you just have to be honest with the fundamentals here. Have you seen many people buy HEX and stake long term in a recent time compared to the start? You haven't seen that. Also, what do you think Richard's going to do if he does a wallet sacrifice? And how many people do you think are actually going to put in for it? Because I'll tell you right now, I showed you the poll already, friends. There's no informational competitive edge to tell you. I'll tell you right now, 90% of people are going to say flat out, I'm never doing that again. That was the worst idea of my life. People say that's literally the worst idea of my life. Go read the comments. So that is very strong language. That's strong PTSD. Okay, so your chances of getting all the supply locked up diminished for the next leg. So that's a challenge you're going to have to sit through. But if it could be done, if you say, I believe he can do it again, he's going to find another reason to do it. Now the numbers you're working with. But can something go up that big with, to game the system like that? That's a lot, man. That's a lot of people. But, why I do these, I want you to know when you expect something in your head, you can reverse engineer it and say, okay, there's going to be step 1 to 5 that must happen first. And, okay, if I see step 3 of the 5 happening, I can go even harder. But if I never even see step 2, then you got to prepare yourself. How do you prepare yourself? You buy bigger bags now. That's how you prepare yourself. Okay, so I'm not saying, oh, golly gee, sell everything and leave. No, quite the opposite. I'm saying, okay, before we get this, it's got to be step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to do this. Where 5 is you're actually starting to see, all right, $400 million of liquidity put in every month. Or worst case, okay, $100 million bridging in every month, 150 million. All right, well, what's another step you need to see? You need to see combined HEX above 20 to 25 cents in 2024. We need to see this, okay? So you have these different, different conditions, right? And what's another step? You say, well, you might just have, maybe daily active users starts to go up, maybe Richard returns to streaming. You see these little steps, but we're just talking about number 5, okay? I'm talking about number 5. Before that happens, you got to go 4, 3, 2, and 1. But here's the thing. We're still in step 1. Nothing's happened so far. Nothing, okay? If the bull market ended tomorrow, everyone would cry. They'd be like, oh, I lost all my money. You wouldn't say, wow, golly gee, I accumulated more quantity of coins. Don't lie to yourself. Everyone would be upset. Everyone would be like, oh, it was a complete failure. Sacrifice, still down. After 2 years, negative return on investment. So if we ended it today, so it's still early, okay? But you got to be honest and just look at yourself here and go, okay, what can you actually do? Now, there's 2 things you can do. I'm going to tell you the right answer and the wrong answer, okay? The right answer is to buy more spot coins, okay? The wrong answer is to buy on leverage. Okay. Buy more on spot coins will significantly increase your chance of survival and increase your bag size. That's what you do. You go, all right, well, I'm not seeing any of the signs that we're going to get all this bridging money in. All right, what can I do? All right, it means I've got to lower my higher target. Okay, which also means, all right, I've got to increase my bag size. Sweet, sweet. Okay. People try to game this system. They go, well, I've got 10,000 in. I don't want to put another 10 in. How about I just leverage this 10 on like a nice little 2.5x leverage? You know, we should be in. Not going to work, all right? The fees you're going to pay in funding over time are going to destroy you because over a year, I think you've paid like 30% in funding fees. So that, and you can get wicked out. And you're not going to execute it properly, and you're going to be destroyed. Most likely, 99% of people will be absolutely destroyed, and this thing can take way longer to occur than we even expect, okay? So there's two ways to do it. That's why the leverage way, just delete it, okay? That's actually how you can conquer these, right? Like I've told you, friends, yeah, you can retire on Bitcoin, but you need 12. Why? Okay, 12 times 80K, around 100. What do people say? Well, you need 1 Bitcoin. You need 0.28 Bitcoin. You notice how they keep saying it's lower and lower and lower each time? Right? Wrong. That's a wrong attitude. That's not how you speculate, man. You don't go look at the main marketing message from everyone and go, oh, golly gee, I need to retire 0.28 Bitcoin because that's enough for everyone in the world. No. Wrong. You don't think like that. You think, okay, if everyone thinks they need 0.28 Bitcoin to retire, I've got to have at least 10 times that. At least. That's to retire over 10 years, by the way, friends. You might find that Bitcoin by 2030 is only like 300K or something, you know? So you might get 300K times about a 3x, 3 Bitcoin. You have about 900K to a million. What's even a million worth then? But do you see how what I'm going through is I'm working through what the crowd's priced in. This is qualitative stuff. You can't get this off a chart or doing anything else. But you know what you can get? A nice pump. So buy more spot coins. All right, that's the ultimate message from these, okay? Because when you're looking through these numbers, right, there's like $45 million in liquidity today. We know the numbers at the peak, right? You're thinking, all right, well, are we really going to need $4.5 billion in there? Well, that's why there's so unknowns. Crypto is a super long duration asset class, everything. You know, you might say, like, I did the most super optimistic method, which is, all right, well, we need $660 million in the liquidity pool to get there. But you and me both know very slim chance to have that low liquidity to get there because there's so much PTSD. You already know in your heart how many freaking people are going to dump the crap out of HEX if it hits 50 cents. I don't have to tell you this. Go and speak to everybody. All these whales say, yeah, bye. Do you honestly going to believe them now? Friends, look, the PTSD in the HEX community and the clips, I'm just telling you, you all know, all right? I still get DMs today from people who tell me about HEX influencers who were selling around this time but told everybody to buy because it was keep going up, okay? Like, it's disappeared in Bitcoin and Ethereum, but for HEX, the damage of minus 99%, it's stuck in everyone's mind too much. And as much as you say, oh, we've got to move on for the future, no, because that carries weight. That carries gravity in everyone's mind. So you got to use this to your advantage. You go, wait a minute, okay, I've got to accumulate more, all right? You know, some people have asked, okay, you got the bridge, you got everything to go. How do you like interpret all these? Well, I'm still accumulating PulseX, and HEX, but now you see why I have even more emphasis. I'm like, you know what? If we don't get the dream bull market, then every single percentage yield counts. That's why I'm doing more ratios, right? That's why I knew from the start I got to look at the ratios more because, you know, if let's say in the next bull move, if this goes up here, what does that actually mean? That might mean HEX did a 10x, and then Pulse and PulseX did roughly 25x. That's what it means. That's combined HEX, right? So that's another way to look at this. And you know, you think, okay, what's the difference between them? That's a big difference, man. Honestly, that's a big difference between, that could be the difference between someone exiting and not, right? Because you need every single edge you can get. And I want to repeat, this has nothing to do, the ecosystem's not bad. It's not tainted. It's not cursed. It's crypto, man. The gains are diminishing. The more people are coming in, they're coming in more smart, friends. They're coming in smart. They have mathematical models and quantitative stuff. People aren't buying the 7th green monthly candle in Bitcoin anymore. There's a lot of institutions who are taking profit, who are doing all these types of things coming in. They crush the volatility. And we're linking up with the stock market, okay? So after all this, I want to also remind you, right? There's still tremendous upside. I still see tremendous upside. Not financial advice. Go buy bonds if you think otherwise, all right? Now, there are other small alt-cap altcoins you can buy. They might go up. I've seen a lot of lists. They go, oh, these are different coins, different dexes and perps and all this stuff. Here's the problem, man. They can't give you one. And if they give you one, be careful, by the way. It's never just one. There's 10 from one guy, and then there's like 6 from another guy, and then another guy's got 7. And you think, okay, I'm going to pick the best sounding ones. Well, you can't, man, because there's still like 10 to 15. Right? Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to take... Look, this is just me, all right? With crypto, there's 10,000 freaking coins out there, all right? If you had 100K to split, I feel more comfortable in a strong community, strong network effect like HEX, PulseChain, PulseX. Way more comfortable now rather than, okay, putting 8K in those 15 coins, personally. Why? It's because I don't even know if those 15 coins are going to go up. I've got no idea now, right? You know, back in when I had my results, friends, from the previous bull market, the win rate was not 1%, okay? The win rate was much larger than that. They didn't have 10,000 altcoins appearing every month. It was harder to make a coin. Now you make a coin in 2 seconds. You can't make a community that fast, all right? So you got to think about the alternatives. That's why I've spent a lot of time going through this. I don't like splitting my money all these ways. You know, in crypto, you just get diluted to death. Easy, easy. You put your money in those 15 coins, guess what? In 3 months, there's a new AI coin narrative, but it's Japanese AI. It's not our westernized AI coins you don't even understand. You see what I mean? They make new narratives in 5 seconds with no community weight behind them. All right. So you don't even know if those other communities are going to be around for all those coins. They might be just flops. So that's super important. You have no faith. It's like I want to have conviction. You want to have convicted plays. Just in crypto, it's so hard to find convicted plays. I can see, okay, there's 180 content creators. Sweet. It dropped minus 99%. Did they change their logos? Not all of them. Most stayed. That is a competitive qualitative edge. PulseChain ecosystem coins, they are still a solid core part. I think they should be accumulated aggressively. We'll see what happens in the future. Don't forget, you know, if you wanted to see these numbers, you go, okay, what would actually like 100x mean, right? What, 100x from here? So it would be, whoa, all the way up here, okay? 0.0067 for Pulse. And then a 100x would be about $2.20 for combined HEX. If we go up, we can find it. Combined HEX, friends, is about 2.3 cents. Do 100x on that. It's about $2.30. And then PulseX, a 100x for that would be, let's go check it all the way out. A 100x. Let's put a log chart just so we can see. We have the original ones right now. Here we go. 100x. Yeah, around 0.0018, right? Which is around the 10x, you know, 10x to 20x from day one sack. That's in this enormous scenario. You can even see up here, I even have this 1,000x from the low type of things measured up. So, like I said, man, none of this is controversial to me. Well, this is just, we're talking about this a long time, friends. Like, if you want to go buy Bitcoin and enjoy like your 2.5x, because these numbers sound good to me. The best part is we've got plenty of time still to accumulate. All right, we're leaving the zone, but it is what it is. You gotta play with the cards that you're dealt, as they say. Make sure you like, subscribe, belly button all. I love and appreciate every single one of you, friends. Don't forget, long-term mindset is gonna make it for us. Let's go. Catch you soon.